answers in a minute. So if you're not paying attention, you're going to be sorry. I know Hal's listening. When you say im ein kemach, ein Torah, ein kemach, you are saying if there's no flour, F-L-O-U-R, there is no Torah. And if there's no Torah, there's no flour. The idea is that if you don't have sustenance, you can't study. And if you can't study, then sustenance will do you no good. So we're going to teach you this. This will be our closing song, but the words will be up on the screen momentarily, and it goes like this.
Torah, in particular, in honor of our visiting Mitch Dorson scholars, Rabbi Jonathan Rubenstein, Rabbi Linda Motzkin, baker and scribe, among other talents, and I understand that the smell of heavenly challah was emanating from our gorgeous kitchen earlier. Over 20 people were baking together, and that's wonderful. You have the opportunity to hear them and listen and learn with them across the whole of the weekend, particularly on Sunday morning. We've got the religious school. It's okay, they don't bite. They sometimes bite, but I'm trying to be nice and not scare you. And this evening we'll be using our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah. And if you're at home, part of our community, then please give us names of people in need of healing or who should be on our list for Kaddish this evening. I do want to mention that the joy of Shabbat is upon us. I realize that in a sense there's still lurking in the shadows the news that we got from Turkey and Syria this week and the human suffering involved in those countries, and so that impinges on our consciousness. I also would just like to say that we still have COVID around, and so if you see people with masks and you're going to approach them, maybe grab one of our masks so that you can make them feel comfortable and care for them. But Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm going to invite, I realize Lainey's over here, huh? I worked it out, and Sherry to light the Shabbos candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat Shalom. One other thing I need to point out is that the choir, as much as they're fantastic, are not a show choir. They're here to help all of us sing. So please join in with all of our prayers. And it's funny because this section is empty, and I'm looking out and going, wait, where is everybody? They're here. So, so at least we won't list to this direction because we're balanced. We're going to continue with Hinei Mah Tov, behold how good and how pleasant it is, page 10.
Hinei Mah Tov, u'manayim, Shebeirach Kam Yachad. Hinei Mah Tov, u'manayim, Shebeirach Kam Yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei Mah Tov, u'manayim, Shebeirach Kam Yachad. Hinei Mah Tov, u'manayim, Shebeirach Kam Yachad. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei Mah Tov, u'manayim, Shebeirach Kam Yachad. Hinei Mah Tov, u'manayim, Shebeirach Kam Yachad.
And most importantly, this Shabbos we're standing at Sinai, Parshat Yitro, we hear the revelation echoing from the heavens. Moses ascends the mountain. And I just want to take a moment for us here. I want us to talk to each other for a second. If Moses was sitting in the sanctuary this evening, then I think it's fair to say that that moment on the mountain where he was able to spend time between heaven and earth was one of the highlights of his life, one of his greatest memories. So I'd like you folks just to talk to each other. Okay, the choir's not exempt, all right? Talk to each other for a moment, exchange names with the people around you, and just share what was that greatest day that you can ever remember. Now, let me be clear. You're not going to have a long time to do this. You're going to start the conversation, and then at the oneg later, you're going to carry it on. So the greatest moment that you can ever remember, just share it quickly now, and then we'll come back together.
I couldn't afford it when that was signed, so they took all of my season and they gave me all the scraps.
Okay, you started the conversations, okay? You'll finish them later. You've had a taster. We're going to continue with Lecha Dodi on page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala Hinei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala Hinei Shabbat nekabela Shalom v'zachor v'zibur echad Shehecheyanu el hamuchal
וחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו, שתולים בבית אדוני,
בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו, צדיק קטמר יפרח, כארץ בלבנון יזכה יזכה, איי איי איי, צדיק קטמר יפרח, כארץ בלבנון יזכה יזכה. עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולת בו, איי איי איי, צדיק קטמר יפרח, כארץ בלבנון יזכה יזכה, איי איי איי, צדיק קטמר יפרח, כארץ בלבנון יזכה יזכה.
When you've had a once-in-a-lifetime experience, the trick is to hold on to that feeling. We stand immobile, a silent throng, gazing upwards, infused with awe rapt. We yearn that this aura of light, this cascade of grace might follow us forever. And yet, turning back to a world unchanged, how do we retain the grace? How do we keep the light from fading? And how do we transmit the wonder?
The Chatzi Kaddish can be found on page 26. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbanein ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei lechayecho u'v'yomecho u'v'chayei decho beit Yisrael V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran ve'alma ve'imeru. Amen. We rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Page 30, we continue together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv Aravim, v'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, u'bitfunah mishanei etim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesadeh et hakochavim, v'mishmorotehem b'rakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. We say together in the middle of 33, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works, and the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We say together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there, except by joining hands, marching together.
Chamocha Elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Nora Tehilot, Oseh Mi Chamocha Elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot, Nora Tehilot, Oseh and the river is wide, and the river is deep, and freedom, freedom.
still stands, how we find the Torah down here at the bottom of the mountain. Sinai was sacred when the Torah was transmitted. It radiated holiness like a fire too hot to approach. Here was the place where we encountered God's celestial spark showered down upon us. Sinai is hallowed no longer, but wherever we retrieve a spark walking in holy ways, there God will come to meet us.
Vishamru, page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Rabbi, I heard something really exciting this week.
I thought you said you heard my hip go out
No,
of that
I
when I
didn't
twisted
hear
just
that.
now. Okay.
Bryce Megdal, who is actually going to be at services next Friday night, for those of you who know her, she's got a congregation in Florida, and she's a cantor now, and she told me her congregation spins.
Ah, nice. It's spreading.
So
It's beautiful.
Like a disease.
No, if everybody does it, right, then the Messiah will come.
That's it.
Page 46, we rise for the tefillah.
Adonai S'fatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora Elyon Komel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד,
חיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו בלב, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. We continue silently through page 62, either standing or sitting as you like.
on. There we go. For those of you who are joining us at home, if you have a name for our healing list, you should send it quickly to JJ or on whatever platform you're on in the comments section. Just in relationship to our last prayer that we sung about peace, if you take a look at the bottom page 61, there's a lovely line from Perikah Shalom. Greatest peace, for peace is the world as leaven is to dough. That's a discussion point for Jonathan, at some point during the weekend. But we take this moment now for our prayer of healing. And if there are those in our sanctuary who have the name of a loved one who may not be listed on our healing prayer list, I'm going to ask you in a moment to mention those names. And also a reminder to our community, we add new names to our list in hopes that you might hear a name of someone whom you know and care about, and because it's a new name on our list, you might reach out to them and check on their well-being. So we've recently added to our list Donna Hutchinson, Penina Bat David Aviva, Dan Naus, who's a friend of John Robertson. So if you know John, you can reach out to him and ask him about his friend. And Yolanda Montez. So if there's anyone in the sanctuary who has a loved one for whom you want to add to our healing prayer list, you may do so at this time. John. Thank you. Dana. Thank you. Arlene. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Brenda. Sherry. Thank you. Thank you. Louise. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alan.
Ralph Martin.
Thank you.
Meyerson.
Thank you. Did I miss someone?
Right here.
Oh, go ahead.
Frank Russ.
Thank you. And Sarah Lichter, whose husband died this past week. So our prayers for her and their family. So from home, we include all those who are suffering in the aftermath of the disaster in Turkey and Syria, as well as everyone on the ground providing humanitarian aid. Lynette Smith, Carolyn Fuchs, Albert Abzug, Michael Swain, and Valley Fever? Is that a person? Oh, people who have succumbed to Valley Fever. Okay, I wasn't sure. I want to make sure that wasn't the name, Mr. or Mrs. Fever. Okay. So no, that's very serious here in the Southwest, those who have got Valley Fever. So thank you for mentioning that. So the Shebeirach prayer can be found on page 253. Page 253, if it's your practice to rise physically, you may do so, or just spiritually. 253.
With
Please be seated. So I'd like to invite a good friend and the chairperson of the Mitch Dorson Advisory Group, which is comprised of Jim and myself, who will speak a little bit about Mitch Dorson. Why don't you come on up here? We'll take you up here.
So I want to talk a little bit about Mitch Dorson, and then a little bit about our guests, and then we're going to hear a lot more from our guests. Thank you. Never been accused of speaking too quietly. So Mitch Dorson was a lifelong learner and teacher in Tucson, Arizona. He had a strong interest in history, politics, and government. He was a champion of progressive causes and social justice issues. He was the director of education and confirmation class teacher at Legacy Temple Emmanuel, and he taught bar and bat mitzvah students and adult education courses at Legacy Congregation Or Chadash. So you see, he really was the essence of Kol Ami. He believed that learning happened in a variety of different ways, including doing, reading, and listening, which is why he would love this weekend's program. For example, we spent Friday afternoon baking challah. We'll spend tomorrow learning, and we'll spend tomorrow evening marking Havdalah, and then doing additional baking, learning, and working with our Torah scribe. This Scholar in Residence program that's named the Mitch Dorson Scholar in Residence was his dream for a congregation he loved. We are grateful to him for his vision in leaving a specific gift in his will to initiate this program. We appreciate all of those who have contributed to this fund over the years. It's held as a restricted fund at the Jewish Community Foundation of Southern Arizona. If you would like to support the ongoing efforts of the Mitch Dorson Scholar in Residence program to bring fabulous, fun, wonderful leaders in the Jewish world to Tucson, Arizona, then please pick up a form and an envelope, which are on the brown table at the north entrance, which leads to the parking lot, and help us honor Mitch Dorson's legacy. I want to thank Rabbi Lachheim for his leadership in the Mitch Dorson Scholars in Residence program. It's with his help that we are now on our third Scholar in Residence, and I have to tell you that each one has been better than the last, and these are the most fun Scholars in Residence you will ever have an opportunity to learn and work with and be a part of. Thank you, Rabbi Lachheim.
Thanks, Jim. I'd usually do this off the cuff, but I just was so thrilled that the two of you are here that I wrote it down. So it is a thrill for me to welcome two of my dear friends to Kol Ami, Rabbis Linda and Jonathan. The two of them and Marcia and myself met 42 years ago when we were studying at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion to become future rabbis and educators. And from the very beginning, I saw these two in a class well above where I was, and those who've known me for over 3 decades know my Hebrew is not great. Their Hebrew is excellent, and yet they never held it over me, which is very nice, very sweet. They are humble, they are loving, they are kind and generous, and it is a thrill to have them here this weekend. So they arrived in Saratoga Springs in New York in 1986 after they were ordained, and they have just retired from their pulpit after 36 years serving as co-rabbis of Temple Sinai. Their president, Jerry Silverman, said in an interview, the two of them were groundbreaking in being a married couple sharing a single pulpit without fighting. He didn't say that. They have a strong sense of helping the community, something that we call in Hebrew tikkun olam, which is making the world a better place, and they certainly did that in New York. They were my son Benny's rabbi while he attended Skidmore College there. And they have, in addition to their capacity at the synagogue, served as rabbi, chaplain, pastoral caregivers for Skidmore College, Four Winds Saratoga Psychiatric Hospital, and the Mount McGregor State Prison. In 2004, they founded the Bread Torah Project, which they offer interactive educational programs in scribal arts and baking, not only around the country, but in fact around the entire world. Linda is an amazing author of an adult series Hebrew language books, which we have used for the past 3 decades in our congregation. She is one of the few trained soferets in the, and I know I'm using the Hebrew incorrectly, so I apologize for that, female soferers in the world. And in 2007, she completed writing a Megillat Esther for her temple. And she has developed this amazing community Torah writing project, which I know she's going to talk about in a few minutes, designed to have people from all over the world involved in various steps of making a Torah scroll. Jonathan, besides also being a brilliant scholar and teacher, operates as a charitable baker in Slice of Heaven Breads. Is that it? Yeah, Slice of Heaven Breads, out of a small kitchen at Temple Sinai. Bread baking lessons, training and employment of individuals with disabilities as well, doing amazing charitable work. And I think most important in their lives is they are the proud parents of Shira Bracha, Ari Shalom, and Rabbi Ruchi Sophia. So it's a pleasure to introduce my friends, great scholars, wonderful human beings, Jonathan and Linda. Maybe, if they want. You're welcome.
We're thrilled to be here. We are thrilled and honored to be Mitch Dorson Scholars in Residence. And despite what Tom said about me being a great scholar, the only way I could be a scholar in residence anywhere is by teaching bread making. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And such a wonderful service, such a wonderful choir, and the cantors, and the rabbis, and it's just, we had fun this afternoon in the kitchen, and we're very pleased and happy to be here. What Tom forgot to mention, that where we met was Jerusalem. The first year when we were all starting our programs at seminary. And so in addition to making wonderful friends and meeting our spouses, the 4 of us,
Right.
it was a magical place to be, and that really nurtured our relationships. We made this afternoon many halot, some of which we're going to share later on. And we made, among other things, mostly I taught this 6 braid challah. So if I were to ask you, well, what does the 6 braids represent? What might you say off the top of your head? Here it is, we're about to enter Shabbat. 12 tribes, okay. The parts of a Star of David, great. 6 days leading up to Shabbat, like the 6 Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat that starts our evening service. And so I was thinking, I didn't think of this till afterwards, but we went around, after we mixed up the dough, we had some time while it was rising, and we asked people to tell us their names and something about who they were and why they were here. So there were people from Or Hadash. There were people from Temple Emmanuel. There were people who had never been here before. This was the first time they'd been to a program at either congregation or at Kol Ami. So for me, the 6 braids represent, this is Kol Ami. This is people coming from different places, different backgrounds, and joining together to make community. And one of the teachings that I sometimes use, I didn't use it today, is this little passage from the Talmud from Tractate Shabbat that says, the emperor asked Rabbi Joshua ben Hananiah, what gives your Sabbath dish such an aroma? And there's actually a story, a midrash that draws this out and says that the emperor went around and smelled challah. He replied, Rabbi Joshua, we have a spice called Shabbat, which goes into everything that we make for Shabbat. And this gives it its beautiful aroma. The emperor said, give me some of this flavor, this spice. And Rabbi Joshua said, if you observe Shabbat, you have the spice. And if you don't keep Shabbat, you don't have the spice. So us being together this afternoon, braiding challah together and learning together, and what we're going to do this weekend, that's also the Shabbat spice. So the challah that you're going to taste later, if you think it tastes good, it's not just the ingredients. It's the love and the sense of community that went into making the challah this afternoon. And again, we're so privileged and happy to be here.
So Jonathan brought the challah that was baked today as a visual aid, and I brought a little bit of a different visual aid. We're delighted to be here, and it seems especially serendipitous that we're here for Parshat Yitro, the Parsha of the giving of the Torah, the Parsha of gathering as a community on Mount Sinai. And the tradition says that all the souls of all Jews, past, present, future, we were all there. Like this was the quintessential community experience of bringing everybody all together. And I love the fact that not only do we have this honor and privilege of being here in this community, but for the Mitch Dorson Scholars in Residence, but that I'm also bringing to you my Community Torah project. So this visual aid, this will never be a panel of Torah, but every panel that is in the Torah at some stage in its development looked something like this, because every panel of a Torah scroll is made from parchment, and parchment is the skin of an animal, and if it's in a Torah scroll, it's the skin of a kosher animal. And not every skin that gets processed winds up being suitable for a Torah scroll. Some have holes, some have scar tissue, some have blood stains. This is one of the ones that will never be a Torah scroll. But it is one that was partially processed up to the point when I realized it couldn't be in a Torah scroll by volunteers and people that are part of this Community Torah project. So what we're doing here this weekend is I'm not only going to be sharing tomorrow night's Havdalah program, what goes into the making of a Torah, but wherever I go, I also like to bring a piece of the Torah project. It's said this week's Torah portion has the 10 commandments. But according to our tradition, there aren't just 10 commandments in the Torah. There are Taryag, right? 613. And there's lots of different ways they could be enumerated. One of the enumerations has as the last of the 613 commandments, the commandment to make a Torah scroll, which is one of those that not everybody gets the opportunity in their lifetime to fulfill. But the Community Torah Project was born in part out of my desire to be able to fulfill this commandment in my lifetime, and partially out of my desire to help other people also get to say, I participated in the making of a Torah. So those of you who are able to be with us tomorrow night, you will be able to say, I participated in the making of a Torah, because you will have the opportunity, if you choose, to help in sewing 2 panels of the Torah together. 2 panels that I finished writing that are ready to be sewn. Our religious school students on Sunday morning will have the opportunity. I brought with me 8 panels that have been fully written, but they need to have every single letter checked. And the students will be Torah panel proofreaders. I will give them instructions. They'll learn how to do it. And they will also have the opportunity to be listed in my book of records of all the people who have helped make this Torah, which now numbers over 4,000. I think I'm up to like 4,020, something around there. And after this weekend, it'll be, I don't know, 4,050, something like that. But it's such a joy and such an honor to be the Mitch Dorson Scholars in Residence and to be able to be part of the wonderful community building activities that you are doing here at Kol Ami. We're honored and grateful to be here. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
And just to clarify, if you didn't get that piece of information, all of the parchment for the Torah that Rabbi Linda is writing was made by her. So all of the parchment is made
with the help of a lot of wonderful volunteers.
Yes. And so there's a flyer on this beautiful purple paper in the back that describes everything that's going on this weekend. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom, thank you so much. Now, usually Rabbi Lockheim would preside over this part of the service, marking people's birthdays and anniversaries. But just yesterday, if you had seen Rabbi Lockheim's office door, you would have seen the 6th graders had decorated it because it was actually your birthday yesterday. I'd like everybody who's celebrating a birthday or an anniversary, whether you're here in the sanctuary or watching from home, if you could stand up at this moment, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you. And before we recite the Shehecheyanu blessing, we're going to offer you the following words. On your birthday, anniversary day, may you on that day have a wonderful, supreme 24 hours of love and blessing and hope and contentment. May you spend that day with those that you love and who love you. And may the deepest desires of your heart and your soul, may they come 100% true. Let us say Amen. Amen. Let's sing the Shehecheyanu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh
Thank you, Rabbi. It was a great 24 hours. Can I have another next year? I'd like to invite Brenda Viner, who is going to share with us about something special that occurs every single year in Tucson, Arizona, and her special desire for us all regarding that.
Shabbat Shalom. It's really fun. In 2009, Bill and I were here to tell you about the Tucson Festival of Books, and that was the first year. And now we're entering our 15th year of planning. COVID messed it up a little bit, and actually in 3 weeks, the 14th live festival will go on. And I want to thank you for allowing me to update you. This is going to be held March 4th and 15th, or March 4th and 5th on the University of Arizona campus. It's free to the public, and free parking, which is a really big deal, on the surface lots. Over 350 authors are coming to Tucson of every possible genre: fiction, nonfiction, mystery, memoirs, history, culinary, current events, and we're going to hold 300 sessions in 35 venues. There's a large children and teen area, culinary tent. C-SPAN is coming back. They're going to have 2 stages this year, one on the mall and one in the Student Union. And again, it's all free. We can't put it on without volunteers. I think I heard the name volunteers several times tonight. And this is a volunteer-driven book festival. We use over 2,000 volunteers that week, and we need people for 3 to 4 hours, and it's fun. And you can look at our website, TucsonFestivalofBooks.org, and join in and be part of this. Tova Friedman is an author from New Jersey. She'll be here with her memoir. She's the youngest survivor of Auschwitz, and she'll be presenting on both Saturday and Sunday, so you'll have 2 chances to hear her. Also, an announcement that we made today is Linda Ronstadt's coming and will be live on Sunday afternoon. And then one more announcement we have is Bernie Sanders is coming. He will close out the festival at 4 p.m. on Sunday. Besides putting on the book festival, we've been able to raise $2,150,000 to help literacy programs in southern Arizona. We're working on teaching children to read and adults to read. And I hope you can come out in person, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks.
Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks, rabbis.
I'd like to invite Ellen Wyden, a member of our Board of Trustees, who has some special announcements about our upcoming activities. Right there's fine. Unless you want to come up here. That's fine.
It's part of the entertainment. Shabbat Shalom. Don't talk too loud because it might. Thank you to Rabbi Thomas Lachheim, Rabbi Malcolm Cohen, Cantor Janice Cohen, and cantorial intern Sarah Bolt for leading services this evening. I also want to express my appreciation to Chris Tackett, our accompanist, the choir, and to our tech team. Thank you, Lainey Darenfeld and Sherry Wallace, for lighting our Shabbat candles this evening. Thank you, Brenda Viner, for letting us know how we can participate in this year's Festival of Books, as well as sponsoring our oneg this evening. And Mazel Tov to all our members who are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries in the month of February. Thank you to our special guests for this Mitch Dorson Scholars in Residence weekend, Rabbis Jonathan Rubenstein and Linda Motzkin. We appreciate the special gifts you will be offering us in your teachings and bakings this weekend. We especially look forward to sharing together the freshly made challah this evening. Tomorrow, Torah study will take place at 8:30 a.m., followed by our Shabbat services at 10 a.m. There are flyers in the back about each of the activities for this weekend. However, let me just take a few moments to briefly outline them for you. There is no need to be concerned about registering at this time. We just want to have an idea of how many to expect for each activity. So just let Rabbi Lachheim or Jim Whitehill know that you may be coming. Rabbi Rubenstein will be delivering the sermon on the Torah portion Yitro at services tomorrow morning. Rabbi Motzkin will be teaching on the topic Creating the World with Words during our Kiddush lunch after services tomorrow morning. The lunch is sponsored by Donna and Jeff Goldberg and Jane Rada and Jim Whitehill. Saturday evening, there are 2 programs. Sacred Sewing, sponsored by the women of Kol Ami, and Bagel Biblically, sponsored by the men of Kol Ami, will begin as we gather for Havdalah, and then a special presentation of how a Torah is made. We will gather for that at 6:30, with Havdalah beginning at 6:45. We are looking for volunteers to help Rabbi Rubenstein make the bagel dough ahead of time. Please see Rabbi Lachaim, Rabbis Lachaim and Rubenstein after services tonight if you would like to help with that tomorrow afternoon. Our scholars will finish the weekend with our religious students on Sunday morning. It's not the whole page, just a whole page. We invite you to join the men of Kol Ami as they lead services for Cowboy Shabbat on Friday, February 24th. Also, the men of Kol Ami are selling hamantashen. Pick up an order form from the back of the sanctuary or in the synagogue office. Please bring in durable medical equipment and supplies to place in the big box at the back of the sanctuary. We have joined We Care Tucson in their Giving Back the Love event to stock their supplies, which are given for free to those in need. Please remember to return your books to the cart at the back of the sanctuary at the end of services. And on behalf of the Kol Ami clergy, staff, and Board of Trustees, please stay safe and healthy. They knew, see, the end is here. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Ellen. Aren't you glad we're not Central Synagogue where you have to name like 8 rabbis and 12 cantors and stuff like that? And it's only one weekend, but thank you. You did that wonderfully. So thank you for all those announcements. We're going to continue now with the Aleinu on page 282. Page 282. Please rise. And a reminder for those who are at home, if you have names for our Kaddish list, please send those to JJ or the comment section on the platform you're on.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, latek gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo somanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamona, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz vayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Please be seated as we take a few moments of reflection before the reading of the Kaddish. For those who are here in our sanctuary and who are saying Kaddish for a loved one, if you'd like to participate in this ritual that we have created in our community, to come forward and place a pebble in your hand to feel symbolically the impact of this person's life for whom you're saying Kaddish for a moment, and then place the stone on the table, you may come forward and do that at this time. At this time, we recall those who were laid to rest this past week: Erwin Rossman, Amy Cohen, the family of Fatima Hesso in Syria, and we are also observe those who died within the past 30 days: Ernie Anditch, Larry Mann, and Roseanne State. And from home, we recall the names of H. Hiram Weisberg and Sidney Brown. We also recall those who died at this season in years past: Esther Abrams. And if you hear the name of your loved one mentioned, we ask if you're able to please rise. Esther Abrams, Hyman Adelstein, Charles Alter, Henry Arnold, Martin Bacall, Isidore Bayer, Nina Telsa Ballin, Helen Berger, Bertzi Braun, Patricia Brish, Joyce Cantor, Benjamin Capon, Julian Cerf, Morris Cohen, Mike Korda, Steve Dickstein, Stephen Eisen, Elsie Eisner, Amelia Fabian, Leonard Flax, David Garber, Anna Ginsberg, Isidore Goldbaum, Gloria Goodman, Ray Halpern, Louis Hegwer Sr., Bernard Hurst, Etta Ingber, Dora Itkin, Herman Ivantosh, Myron Jacobs, Sandra Kalish, Edward Kay, Sophia Kleinman, Elizabeth Landau, Bert Landau Jr., Samuel Landers, Barry Luxemburg, Beatrice Magidson, Arnold Mandel, Charles Mann, Roberta Meislin, Charles Mensch, Myra Miller, Joe Pollock, Florence Quater, Milton Rain, Phyllis Ross, Joseph Rubin, Melvin Sandock, Joseph Schiff, Jeanette Schwartz, Lillian Schwartz, Patricia Schwartz, May Shalinsky Tarloff, Nathan Shapiro, Louis Silbert, Percy Simons, Robert Slavin, Morris Sosin, Bella Stern, Jay Tarloff, Richard Worth. If there are others who are saying Kaddish for someone whose name was not mentioned, we ask that you to please rise and mention those names at this time. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? The Kaddish can be found on page 294. Page 294. We ask that you please rise and join these loved ones as we recite the Kaddish together.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei dukudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Ve'imru, ve'imru, ve'imru.
Your attention to the screen and join in the closing song, the anthem of Kol Ami.
Shabbat kodeshecha be'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
You get to do it, Rabbi, because I had some this afternoon. You've got to try it for the first time.
Motzi lechem in haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Motzi lechem in haaretz.
B'tei avon.
I'll bring it
Shabbat
over.
shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, I tried.